Welcome back into the workshop. Just had to go get the camera because I thought there was something worthy, well, that's debatable, but worthy of a short video. As you can see, I have got the 8 wheels on my base. Now that's yet to be glued to the unit itself, but what I've done here, and it's something that we need to sometimes evaluate, is which fitting do we make use of and which do we not, and which way do we use said fitting we've decided upon. Take all that in. Now these are actually salvaged, I don't know whether you're going to call them T-nuts or not, whatever they are, the name is, that's what came with the assembly here, the trolley that I'm actually scavenging the wheels off for my bases, because it's much cheaper for me to buy this trolley with 4 wheels for $20, making each wheel $5, than actually buy them in the shop. So I did, and I have, and they've proved pretty economical. So the base itself has these type of nut in them, and they are mounted from the top, so the underneath side of this, and the wheel screws on from this side, meaning it really you can really hog down the thread of the wheel onto this, because it literally can't pull it right through the material. It also means that it gets a pretty much full embedment of the thread into that, pretty much. However, when you go to use these sorts of threaded inserts, the thread, if you can see where my fingernail is, that's where it starts down there. So you're missing, well, it's actually below that even. It's missing a good, in this case, a third of the, how are you going to say, the thread of the wheel can't even reach this for a third of that thickness. So at least 6 mils, there or thereabouts. And meaning that the thread doesn't have as much threads engaged and to resist any, like abuse. And that's how I've actually mounted them in the past, thinking it was the way to do it. But I thought about it, and I've decided this time to actually drill them from this is the top, remember, because this is the upside down, but I've drilled them from the top through. And even though that these are slightly longer than the thickness of this, or at least the end of this comes through the surface, because I'm putting a chamfer, a countersink on the hole, so it beds fully in, so none of that sticks up, because it's going to be laminated. Anyway, long story short, it meant that if I put a washer, these square washers which I've got oodles of, if I put that down there to spread the load of the base, I get almost a full thread embedment, well, pretty much actually, in the fitting, which is much superior than putting it in from this side, and even superior than this. The kind of a downside is that in theory you could wind this out as you're tightening it, but that's never going to happen. The friction of the threaded insert in the fibers of the melamine is a lot more than the thread friction of the bolt of the wheel on these. So it was just a thought. I had that thought that if I do it kind of round the wrong way, but the better way, I get a lot more robust wheel. Because when this is being trundled around, you just never know what bits and pieces that you're going to run over that's going to cause this to, come to a grinding halt, and the full weight of the unit goes onto whichever single wheel has been abruptly jammed and stopped. These are whatever plastic, hard plastic, so it doesn't have any cushioning that you would have accommodated the wheel had it had a softer surface. So we want to make sure that these are as strong as possible. there's always the issue, and this is a side issue, but something you also have to think about. There's also an issue of loading up the wheels, because when you've got more than two pair, you've got a chance of one of these wheels loading up much more than you would think. But that shouldn't be much of an issue here, because I'm kind of building it in the aspiration or hope that even if these two wheels takes the full load of the unit, everything is rigid enough that it'll be okay. Like fingers crossed. Besides which, there's in theory with these 8 wheels a 400 kilo capacity of all 8 wheels, if they were all bearing an equal amount. That's unlikely to happen on my concrete floor, because it is not in any way flat, and nor is even. So it could be that wheel there takes the 90% of the load down this end, and one of these wheels down here, etc., and whatever. So there's no way to know what or which wheel will bear the most weight at any particular position in the workshop. So there is a little bit of fingers crossed and hoping, and that's why I've got 4 wheels. I thought about just having 3, 2 down here and then 1 back here, and I thought, nah, whack the extra wheel in. It's not much of an impediment, and yeah, make sure that I have a good solid interface between the thread and the insert and the base of the swivel, and in this case a washer, to the surface itself. So it's all those wee things that I've picked up as I've been going through, and I think, whoa, hang on, didn't do that there, or perhaps in the next time. Didn't do this on my router, and I'm a little bit annoyed that I didn't. However, this also has one downside, not one that I'm going to worry about at this stage, and it's also counterable, sort of. I've increased the height of my unit by 3mm, because those washers are 3mm. They're what we use. It's a 50 by 50 by 3. It's the washer that we use for hold down bolts on the houses that we put in. Generally, these are required in those loading situations, so that's why I've got oodles of them. The extra height is a wee bit of I can't see 3mm being much of a problem, but if it turns out to be, I can always pop these off, take the washer out, grind off the little protrusion that the insert has created or formed, and then put the wheel back on without the washers. But until it becomes a problem, I'm going to leave it like that, because it was a very simple and quick solution to the issue. Right, well, that's it. Friday afternoon. Oh yes, I actually rang the suppliers of my machines that I get, the sander, the belt sander, disc sander combo, and he said they've got a new motor coming down, and then they're going to assemble the pieces that I had with sent in or taken in. They're going to reassemble it. I was kind of hoping they'd just give me a whole new one, because what are they going to do with all the bits? So that's okay. But I will have the motor back maybe next week. And as I've already said in a previous video, the laser cut job, I won't get that until next week either. So I better get all this sorted before next week, so that I've got the room ready for the big push to get everything working together. More floor space. Yay! I'll be looking forward to that. Rightio, that's it. Just thought I'd touch on that. That was the thing about using the different fixings in different ways, even if it's round about the wrong way, but kind of a whole lot better as a result. Hey, hope you followed that. I hope it was some benefit to you. And if not, oh well, I'll see you in the next one and see whether I can make up for that. Rightio, see you in the next one. Bye now.